Hello and welcome to Robert Frost's famous poem, The Road Not Taken. As it is very important for the readers to know about the author, in this poem, it is mandatory for us to know about Frost in order to understand this poem better. It is because this poem has got biographical connection. This will give you an idea how Frost came upon writing the poem, The Road Not Taken. Now, before reading the poem, let us make our mind frame to understand Frost and this poem better by delving on these questions. What do you already know about this poet? Or you know about this poem? What is the literal and figurative meaning of the title? Children, have you ever thought about the title, The Road Not Taken? What does the word road mean here? What are the literal and connotative meanings associated with the specific words in the title? What images and emotions are evoked by the words in the title or by the words in the poem? What can you predict about the poem based on the title and author? Here's the mind map which will give you a direction and will sail you through the various aspects of the poem. Now the poem goes like this. The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveller. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other, just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that, the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere, ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference. Now, here we have stanza-wise explanation for you. Listen to it and make your own notes. You need to write them down in your notebook, in your own words. Stanza 1. Once the poet was walking down a road, and then there was a diversion. There were two different paths, and he had to choose one out of them. The poet says that as he was one person, he could travel on one road only. He had to choose one of these two roads. Yellowwood here means a forest with leaves which are wearing out and they have turned yellow in color. Yes, children, it is the season of autumn. The poet kept standing there and looked at the path very carefully as far as he could see it. Before taking the path, he wanted to know how it was. Was it suitable for him or not? He was able to see the path till from where it curved, after which It was covered with trees and was hidden. Children, it happens in our life too. When we have choices, we have alternatives, but we have to choose only one out of them. We take time to think over or think about the pros and cons, whether it is suitable for us or not, and only then we take a decision on what path we should choose. Stanza 2. The poet kept on looking at one path for a long time to check if it is the right path for him or not. And then he decided to walk on another path. Interestingly, the poet also felt that both paths were equally good, but he chose the grassy one because he felt it had better claim as it was not used by many people. Stanza 3. The poet says that both the paths were similar that morning. Both had leaves on them, and no one had stepped on them as they were still green in color. He decided that day he would take one path and keep the other for another day, although he knew that one way leads to another. He knew that he could not go back on the choice he had made. Similarly, in our life, once we choose an option, we must keep on moving ahead with that option, and we never get a chance to come back and take the other option that we had left earlier. Stanza 4. The poet says, or the speaker says, that in future he will take a deep breath and say that once upon a time he had reached such a point in life that there were two options for him, and he travelled on that road which had been travelled upon by lesser number of people. That decision of his decided his future, and that has made all the difference. I quote and unquote. Now children, Frost leaves it entirely on the readers to decide what kind of difference had his decision made on his future. He gives hints with the use of the expression sigh, which can be either negative or positive. So, in order to come to a conclusion, we need to know the author's background, which we have already studied. So don't worry. So now children, it's time for you to decide. I leave it on to you. Let us have a close look at the poem now. By now you must have understood the meaning of the poem. Look at the determining factors in our life which pushes us to the dilemma of choosing the best for us. Now coming to the theme of the poem. The theme of the poem can be the need to make choices in life. Yes, we need to choose between two equally good options wisely because the choice may make all the difference in our lives. As human beings, we usually look back, wonder, and regret that we are unable to choose both the options or choose the other option. So, we need to choose wisely and accept the challenges and consequences of the choice. Be bold, creative, original, and adventurous in taking up challenges few people choose. Now read the short summary given to you, and later on you write down the summary in your own words on the basis of the given stanza-wise explanation. Have a look at the literary devices used in the poem. I think you won't have any difficulty in comprehending the poetic devices. Still, I would like to talk about the poetic device anaphora. Anaphora is a figure of speech in which words repeat at the beginning of successive clauses, phrases, or sentences. Now, you try and find out by reading the poem once again, where you get the poetic device anaphora. So my job is over here, children. It's for you to recapitulate and summarize your understanding of the poem. But remember, our speaker is a very conflicted guy. He doesn't tell us too much about himself. We have to find connection from his biography to relate to with his poem. And the big question is, what does he mean when he says, and that has made all the difference, a quote unquote. So children, while winding up, I'm leaving you all with a clue. Happy reading, happy writing, and enjoy the poem. Thank you.